Okay, welcome to One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Steve, and I'm here doing a solo chat. Well, not solo because you guys are here with me, and we're going to talk about some upcoming cooperative news and talk about our discussion topic: cooperative, solo, and competitive. Like combining all the modes into one game. Talk about a few examples that are games that kind of fit this category. And this kind of came up from last week's chat. I know Nick mentioned, hey, he dropped that question and kind of threw us for a loop. Like, ooh, there's some out there, but it's really hard to come up with them off the top of our heads. So we're kind of returning to that topic as we discuss this. Got a poll going right now, so if you want to join the poll, let us know if you think that when you see cooperative, competitive, and solo, like labeled on a box, if that's a good thing, bad thing. And I know, Snow called me out already. I didn't put I don't know or depends on there, but yes, technically there's some caveats to that. But yeah, this is a fun little poll. Okay, so I'll let the poll run while we cover the news, and we'll look at the poll results after the news. So let's jump into it. Here we go. The first game we have for news is going to be Terraternity. Oh my gosh, I just botched the name already. Keep my thing up here real quick. Okay, Terraternita. I'm horrible at pronouncing names. Anyway, this is a cooperative game where you are trying to sustain the Earth. So you are trying to neutralize carbon before a 5 climate disaster ends. Yeah, this is a newer for me too as well. I've been trying to keep my thumb on this one. I saw them pop up on like upcoming stuff, but I wasn't sure it's cooperative. I did confirm it's cooperative. Actually, you can play this one competitive too, so this kind of ties into our previous discussion how there's like a lot of games coming out there trying to cover all these different things. Hey Benno, welcome. Yeah, hi Snow and hi Ryan. I know you guys are both here as well. So I know I said hi to you in the chat before we went live. But yeah, so the goal here is to develop the countries to make them carbon neutral, and so you have to work together for cooperative turn all 8 countries neutral in this one. And it sounds like I don't know. You have the CO2 scale on the game board. You have to make sure that doesn't reach dangerous levels. But yeah, seems interesting. I don't know a whole lot about it right now. There's only a BGG page, but that one should be launching later this week on Kickstarter. So we'll have to keep eyes up for that one. Terraturnia. Or Terraternita. Ternita. However you want to say it. Okay, we'll keep going. The next game I want to talk about is the pig game. So this one looks like just a silly fun game. Apparently you're a bunch of pigs, and the farmer left the table set, and you snuck into his house. So your job is to work together to try to eat the right amount of food you want to do. Oh yeah, and Snow mentioned, yeah, there are a lot of environmentally focused games coming out lately, which is nice. It's nice to have this, nice change in pace instead of all these combat and violent centered ones. That one's not violent. This one also isn't very violent because you're pigs eating food. And I have another one I'll talk about that is also not violent. So that's coming up later. So the pig game, so this one is a family weight game. So it seems like, I'm not sure this would be good for adults, what I'm seeing of this game. But you're trying to either play a breakfast, lunch, or dinner if you want easy, medium, hard. You try to uncover tiles, dig into them to grab the right amount of food. And there's other events that could, bad things that pop up that can mess with your plans. So that's pig game. That's coming up. Kickstarter. This one is 1 to 4 players, and it plays about 30 minutes to an hour. About. Okay, move on to another one. I'm not positive. I think Mike might be covering this one. This is Roll Camera, but this is a B movie expansion for it. So this is 1 to 4 players. It plays about up to 90 minutes. And this one is adding kind of more of the same for the most part. So it's going to add, let's see, it's new roles, specialist equipment, but it's also going to be more challenging because I guess you can have a last minute script change. So you have to change the genre from like a crime one to a horror or a sci-fi or whatever it is to try to figure out how to manage that. And this is a dice management game. If you're not familiar with the original roll camera, but this is coming out later this week. So another cooperative game. 1 to 4 players. This one's I said 90 minutes on that one. Okay. Let's keep chugging through. We have another one to talk about, and this is the one that's not violent. This one is Mythwind. So this one I am particularly excited for. Something about these open-ended games, I love them more. Okay. Mythwind. Oh yeah, let's notice this one Mike played. Yeah, I know he played the original one. I don't know if he's played the expansion. Is what I was getting at for that roll camera. So I'm not positive, but yeah, the humor is pretty cool. Humor is pretty fun. That type of stuff. There's another game. It's a competitive one. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but you are scheduling TV shows in different time slots. I played one a long time ago, but that was a pretty fun one. Okay, so we're doing Mythwind. So this is an open world game, and this is all about settling life in a very whimsical, very fancy world. This one's based off the same group that did Stars of Akarios, which was previously called Starlight. It's a city building, fantasy, and farming game, which seems pretty cool. Open-ended, like I said. It says it's only supposed to take 5 minutes to set up, so that's pretty cool. I like that. And you can kind of save your progress at any time, really. And I don't really know what the goal is of it, the winning scenario. I think this is more of, hey, build up the town until you might be satisfied. I'm not, the victory end of this is not clear to me. But it's probably more set up to be like, hey, build up the town until you're satisfied and then start all over, right? I think that might be what it is. Yeah, it's I'm very curious of it too. I want to see more, but this is one I was thinking about. We were talking about covering, but Jason is covering this one. He's got it on his table as we talked last week. So he's been playing it. So we'll see. We'll hear a lot more from him, hopefully, on that one. Yeah, and so mentioned the same thing. There aren't really goals. There's the end is running out of stuff to do. Yeah, that's what I understood as well. That's what I understood as well. Yes, with Kickstarter games, talking stuff out of it often is the best. Yeah, Benno. Yep, that is definitely true. That's why I like to bring this to your attention so you can help know what's coming up. And if you guys want to know like more specific what we think about these games, we could definitely dive into that more. This one is probably the one I'm most interested in. It's between this one and the next one talk about this week. But yeah, okay, so that's Mythwind, and that is coming out it's coming out later this week, so take a look at that one. Art is gorgeous for this game. I've been on the Discord server and seen art popping up for this one. It's awesome. Big fan of that. Okay, let's get to the last one. This one's also super interesting. Fractal Beyond the Void. You know, I think it was like last week we just talked about a 4X game in space. Guess what? We have another 4X game in space. So this is Fractal Beyond the Void. It is a 1 to 4 player, plays about 180 minutes. And it is a game where you are trying to, well, there's a couple ways of playing it. This one does have the competitive, cooperative, and I believe solo modes in it. And I was talking to Will from Hungry Gamer. If you guys aren't watching his channel, I recommend it. He does awesome content. Trying to figure out where this one lies because I know he was covering it. But I love Civ games. I really enjoy that aspect of it. I want a cooperative Civ game in space, which Voidfall pretty much is. And this one, I'm curious how this one compares to that one. But this one does have a lot of card-driven mechanics. And there's no dice in the game. So similar to Voidfall, you won't lose because of bad luck. But it is, I don't know if what modes work for each co-op, competitive, and solo is what it is. But the cool thing about this one is the galaxy is supposed to be living. So it's be game commands and mechanics and components, which has the universe responding or doing its own thing. So Yeah, Will is very excited when I talked to him. So he was talking to me about it. Um, and yeah, the campaign is so specific. I get dissuaded. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know what this. I This is kind of confusing me because it sounds like it's a 4x from a competitive standpoint, and there's also a campaign that's built into it. And I think the campaign has the cooperative elements in it. So I don't know exactly how much of this is cooperative, how much is this competitive, how much is this solo. It's really, really tricky to figure this one out. But this one I'm interested in, but because of that uncertainty around it, I'm probably less interested in this one than Mythwind. Mythwind is fully co-op, fully open world. But yeah, these two are definitely ones to look at for sure. So both launching this week. Okay, that is going to cover the news this week. Everything we're going to cover in that one. Let's transition over to the chat part of it. Okay, so let me let me turn off that. Okay, what are we talking about this week? We're talking about cooperative solo competitive. Oh yeah, the campaign has scenarios that are tied to a specific mode. One scenario co-op, next competitive, next one versus mates, mess. Yeah, that is exactly why I'm hesitant on Fractal. That one, I'm not sure. I was thinking about like, do I want to cover for the channel? Do I not? And I'm not sure if it's gonna like. I just want to play fully co-op. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Or solo. I'm okay with solo too, but I don't like having being forced to play any different modes. So, but that does tie nicely into our discussion topic. So we're going to talk about games that work cooperative, solo, and competitive. And there's a number of games that do it. There's games I'll be missing that we're not going to talk about, of course. But I kind of pulled out some of the games I thought did it pretty well. So let's talk about these games. And before we do that, let's take a quick peek at the poll. So yeah, I asked you guys, do you view games with cooperative, competitive, and solo modes as positive aspect for the game? 83% of you guys said yeah, it's positive. So yeah, you guys do think, because it's interesting because sometimes, especially in the past, seeing all those different modes, it felt like it wasn't well designed. They kind of tacked on things and like, oh yeah, you can make it work, but it's not a good experience. And I was curious if that was going to change with the recent games because I feel like that has changed. I feel like now it is a positive thing for the most part. Yeah, Ben will mention I ran into a multimodal first with one of the Kickstarter games I backed. It was a nightmare. Yes, yeah, definitely early on it was a big problem. To comment on the poll, I would only see all three different types as positive if it doesn't detract from the co-op. That's a great point, Ryan. I completely agree with that because obviously I'm very biased. I want to have that co-op aspect for it. As long as the co-op is there, I can deal with the others being there or being not. Snow mentioned it depends for me. I see competitive co-op solo on one box. I'm dissuaded from the first look, but there are games that do it well, which is true. I think that's a healthy way of looking at it because, like I said, in the past there was a lot of games that didn't do well. It's very common, and now I think there's a lot more that do a good job of it. So. Oh, that's a great comment, Snow. I always ask which one was the main mode because that's true. It's some games can flex between them very easily. Other games not so much. It's kind of a different experience as well. So like, what is the way that the designers or publishers are pushing the game? Like, that's really important. That's a great point to bring up. And I wonder, it'd be really nice if they would like highlight that when they're advertising the game. That'd be really hard to do. Because I know, for example, like recently the CMON game, the Masters of the Universe, it was advertised as being cooperative. But when the Kickstarter launched, it was like, oh, there's no cooperative labels anywhere. Like, what's going on? And it was revealed later that yeah, it is still cooperative. But like, does that mean it's not the main mode? Is it the main mode? Is it not good? I don't know. Who knows what's going on? Hey, Kevin, nice to see you here. Yes, this is ultimate. The co-op, competitive co-op, semi-co-op, solo, the ultimate mess. Yes, it's so true. And one versus many. Yep, and one versus many for sure. Yeah, that makes me nervous for sure. But yeah, let's talk about a few of the games that I think do it pretty well. Oh wait, this is right, Steve. Sometimes an alternative mode hangs off the main game like a vestigial limb. Oh, I like that. That's a great description. Yes, it's like well. It's there. It doesn't really do much, but it's there. So I like it. I think one of the big ones I hear a lot of people talk about when it comes to this game is Mage Knight. Right, Mage Knight is excellent solo, very good solo game. Cooperative, it works well. My only hesitant is I did play it with 5 people one time cooperatively. Just took forever. Plus they were new. Do not recommend. But it does play fine otherwise, just long and involved. And it does play, a lot of people do play competitive as well. And I think it works well. It doesn't change a whole lot. It's more racing to victory condition at that point. So it works. I think it works. But I mean, I think most people here that play the game do play it solo, but I think solo and co-op is the ones I played Mage Knight. I think it works great in that one. And I tried listing games on here that I thought worked well in those different modes. You know, your experience may differ, of course. So that one is interesting. The other one I want to talk about is Lord of the Rings: The Living Card Game. And you might be like, "What's going on? That's not competitive." And it actually became competitive, which is interesting. So the normal game, like 95% of the game, or 99% of the game, whatever, is cooperative and solo, hands down, straight up. However, they did introduce new packs in the game. These scenario packs where you can create your own scenario. And so the cool thing is you can build your own encounter deck, a bad guy deck to play against. And so on competitive mode, you build one, you have someone else build one, and then you swap those decks to each other. And then it's a race to see who can get through it fastest and with the most victory points. And you compare at the end. So it does work pretty well. A lot of people do like that one. That was a weird one to put on this list, but I do want to call that out. That does work well for competitive co-op and solo. Martin's like, good lord, 5 people playing Mage Knight. Are you not still playing? It was forever. It took forever. I do not recommend it. It was something like 6 hours or something. It was crazy. It was crazy. So, no, interesting point. Ultimately, I really never know if it's balanced. I'll just know if the co-op in that case worked, which is a great point. And your example is Cerebria. Yeah. Yep, that's a good one. I played Mage Knight. First time competitively with 4 people was a nightmare. Yeah, I would. Yeah, Mage Knight, as good of a game it is, it's not great for high player counts. But I do think the mode works well. I just would avoid the player counts. The other one I'll bring up is Runebound. Runebound is another one that it was designed straight up as a competitive game, and you could also play it solo. But then they added an expansion, Unbreakable Bonds, which I really wish it was easier to find because it makes the game co-op and solo, and honestly improves the game overall. But that one, I think, works well in all 3 modes. I don't really like playing competitive because I don't like playing competitive, but they even have some scenarios where you must. I think you have to grab some magical stones or runes, I think they are, and then at the end of the game you have a battle with all the other players to see who wins. So that one works. That one works. But yeah, Runebound's a big old adventure game, and I love that game. So you probably hear me talk about that a lot. Dungeon Alliance is another one that has a co-op solo competitive mode. I know I was talking to Baron. Baron was going to join me on the stream, but unfortunately he couldn't at the last minute. So I'm just coming here. And that one works well solo co-op. And then competitive is more of a race, but I've played that one. That one plays pretty much the same between them all. The other one I'll mention is Marvel Legendary, and there's other games I would probably have put on this list that do claim to have competitive modes in it, but there's like a small tweak, small change that doesn't really matter. And like Legendary almost falls in the category because there's victory points and you can play against the boss, and whoever has the most victory points wins. It's kind of just like, doesn't really do much. I decided to put it on the list because they added these ambition cards again, one of the expansions where you can actually play as the mastermind, as Big Bad. And so to me, that is more of a competitive experience than victory points, right? So, but that one's really cool. Let's see. He says Ryan mentioned I didn't even realize Lord of the Rings had a competitive option. That's a game that I have zero interest in competitive, but what I love about Lord of the Rings is the bouncy. Take this cooperative nature of the game. Yeah, Lord of the Rings is amazing. I'm been teaching a few people on our Discord server. So if you guys want to jump on there and just want to play games or have us teach us, just reach out. We love playing stuff. So, but yeah, that game is fantastic, and I tried competitive once. It works fine, but I just love the co-op so much more. It's a great game. Let's see. Snow mentioned Ares Expedition. I like competitive. Oh, co-op and solo. No idea about competitive. I've not played that one. I think I need to get that one to the table at some point or try that one out. So I've heard a lot of people talk about it positively on that one. The other one I didn't put on here as another example was Fallout, because that one it started off competitive, and then they added the modes to turn into a co-op and solo experience. And I wasn't sure to actually put this one on here because I played it competitively. It worked, but it didn't feel like it had its own identity. It didn't feel right until it got the co-op one on there. Oh yeah, Jinx Fallout. Yes, Snow got both saying the same thing. Yeah, that one I won't play cooperative as well. What do you think? What do we think about games like Betrayal that start in one mode and swap partway through a session? Yeah, I didn't list the games with traders on here, but that's a good example. Um, they can be fun. I liked it a lot in the Battlestar Galactica board game because that one fit the theme very well. Like, cool, I think I'm human. I think I'm human. And at some point later, you find out you're not. You're a robot, and then you're actually on the other team. And it's interesting because that way you don't when you're working together, you don't push too hard in the positive way because you might wind up needing to tank everything later on, which is kind of interesting. So I do think it worked really well in that mode. The other ways when this pops up, it's not a positive aspect for games for me because it's so dependent on the situation. Some people just don't like knowing what team they're on, right, and having to flex that. I kind of prefer just a straight up, hey, no one knows what teams they're on, and we figure it out. Like One Night Ultimate Werewolf is really fun. I enjoyed that one. But the trader games where you kind of like swap teams, I don't know. It's not something I like so much about me. Speaking of Marvel, Ryan mentioned, didn't Marvel United add some competitive and one versus many modes? It did, Ryan. It did. I wanted to list. I didn't list it here because I haven't played it yet, and I kind of want to list games on here that I thought worked well because a lot of games have it, but I want to make sure that these games actually, you'll have a decent experience. And because I haven't played that, I'll say I didn't list it on here. But that one is getting a mode where we can play as the villain. I just got Marvel United X-Men, and so I can play that way now. I haven't tried it yet. I just played it the first time 2 days ago. I'll be playing some more this weekend, and then I'll be streaming it coming up. Actually, that'll be the stream Monday. We'll be on the stream Monday. But that one is you can play as the big bad, and then is also adding team play. So then you can play team play, and then you can find big bad team play to get up to 7 players from Marvel United, which is a thing. I don't know if I want to play 7 players Marvel United because one thing great about that game is it's so fast to play, and the turns are really quick. So maybe it'll be okay. Maybe it'll be too much downtime. I don't really know, but I want to try that out before I put Marvel United on here. See, Snow mentioned that's the thing. I'm confident from what I own about Ares Expedition and Cerebria because both are praised for competitive while play co-op solo. Yep. That's a good one. So yeah, that Marvel Knight I'll add on there a little bit later. So the other 2 I own, I don't think all the modes for that work well. I think co-op and Fallout and solo and Forgotten King are vastly superior. Yeah, I agree completely. Like when we were playing Fallout, it didn't feel like it knew what it wanted to do. It felt like it was out of place until we tried the co-op, and it's like, cool, this feels right. In fact, before they had the official co-op expansion, Elijah and I were tweaking the rules and house ruling to play it cooperative, and we lived it a lot better. It was great at that time. Kevin, 7 players, Marvel United. Let's go, make it happen. Oh my goodness, I think I do need to try it out at some point, just to see what happens. I don't know. It seems weird because you have 2 teams of 3 people and then one boss man, and yeah, I don't know how that works. How would I classify Cosmic Counter from Benno? Oh, Cosmic Counter. That's a tough one because that one does everything. It's more of a negotiation game, I'll probably say. That's what comes down to it. Because yeah, you're not necessarily with. It's not cooperative because you're trying to win. Generally, you can win as a team if you set it up, but you can also break that team and then change teams or not be teams. So that one I don't know if it fits into any of these categories, to be honest. I think it would be its own category of like a I don't know, a dynamic mode game where I just call it a negotiation game, honestly. Not because I feel like if I were to call it a competitive, cooperative, or solo, it's not a solo game at all. But it would probably muddle the waters in that one. Negotiation is competitive game of betrayal. Yeah, that could be very true. Yes, I like that stuff. That's a good one. But yeah, there's a lot of games that come out here with these modes. There's listed a bunch tonight or today about how that works, and I do think a lot of games they're getting better at it. There were quite a few other games on here I was thinking about listing, like the Tiny Epic series. I'm a big fan of those. Those don't often have all three modes listed on the box, and so I didn't list them here. However, in my experience, it's very easy, and I like to house rule it so that I can play those solo, cooperative, and competitive. Because the nice thing about the Tiny Epic series is every game plays solo. And depending on the solo mode, it is normally fairly easy to tweak it to make it cooperative. So there you got competitive and solo mode, and then a small tweak makes it cooperative. So those oftentimes do work in that way, and I do enjoy it that way. Oh, good. I'm glad that description worked for you, Benno. Yep. Yeah, I think the last game we played from Tiny Epic that worked well that way was the Tiny Epic Pirates, which is an awesome, really clean, quick pirate adventure game, and we did play that cooperative, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's a good question, Snow. It's hard to do all equally well. Very true. I do think most games with all three modes work equally well, and some modes are always superior. I think that's almost always true. I think there's exceptions where all the modes are pretty much the same. If it feels the same. The main thing is, I think they feel superior because I just naturally gravitate towards cooperative games more. So that always feels superior to me. But if I were to sit back and think about how the game works mechanically, I think there are games that it does seem balanced because I think it comes into our own inherent biases at that point. The real question is, do you care if you enjoy the mode that you're looking for? Right, exactly. And that's getting back to the previous news we talked about, Fractal, right? Fractal looks awesome. I really like the concept of it, but I am looking for that cooperative play. How much of that is the game? How much is it? It is going to be what I look for because I really want a 4X Civ game. And space would be cool. If it's history, that's cool too. I don't mind. Either of those would be awesome. Where I want to control a civilization, I want to have somebody else control a civilization, and I want to build up the civilizations together against a common enemy, right? And that's what I want in a 4X Civ game. And I'm not sure I found it yet. I still have to dig into Voidfell. I don't know if that's going to the one that's scratched the itch for me. I know. Talk to Mike. It doesn't have the exploration aspect as much, but that seems okay. It is very long though. That's one I'm worried about. Shrey, nice to see you here. Most unique competitive game that I played, which feels very much a co-op, Australia. Ooh, that's one I haven't played, but I've seen it played, and that seems very close to a co-op as well. Yes, no. It's funny that most 4X co-op games are a 3-in-1 kind. Yeah, it's true. I think Uprising was that way too, because that one seems really cool, but it doesn't. It's not a so when I say 4X game, I think civilization game. And I think when most people say 4X game, they're thinking of the X's. It's explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. I think of the 4X's. So you've got obviously exploration of the world. You normally have some type of technologies or things to build up, getting resources and battling each other basically. Ooh, we should play Australia. We should do that, Shrey. We should do that. And Shrey, and speaking of Lord of the Rings Living Card Game, I know Shrey dropped in when I was teaching Chuck last week, and so we're gonna play this Sunday if you're up to it, Shrey. So maybe when we play, teach you Lord of the Rings card game this Sunday, we can also talk about doing Australia sometime. Oh, good to know. Thank you. Got him right. I always feel like I forget one of those X's. There's a lot of X's in there. Excellent. So this is all I had to plan to talk about. You guys are awesome. Jumping on the chat. You guys made this so much more interesting doing it solo. Next time, Barrett will be around. I know we had a conflict, and everyone thought it's going to happen. But I want to make sure that even if we have a conflict, we want to try to get this content out to you guys. It's fun, it's light, and I like having this at different times so that people like Snow, who are elsewhere in the world, can join us live. Because I know the problem is with our other playthroughs, it's not always available if you're overseas. Snow mentioned the other thing. It says, I think the main problem I have with 3 and 1 is that the game is limited in a way for each mode. Yeah, that's generally true. I think the way where it gets around that is if the solo and cooperative has an automa of some kind, some type of way of simulating a player. And then I think those modes come a lot closer to being the same experience. Because that way, if I want to play it solo, I just throw this. I have this AI run its course. If I want to play it cooperative, well, guess what? I can take 2 of those AIs and have them control 2 factions while we play 2, right? If that's the right balance. So I think that is probably the closest way where it wound up being. It's not limited as much. And yes, Kevin, we should do Uprising. We should do that. And Shrey will do the Lord of the Rings later. Oh, Snow mentioned, yeah, but it's limited to simulating players. That is true. That's true. And how games simulate the opponent does vary quite a bit in the games. Because sometimes if you're doing like a worker placement game, you have blockers out there to simulate the AI taking stuff, or a deck builder. They might, if you're doing competitive deck building, they might take cards away from the buy areas. You don't have all the buys. So yeah, that's true. That's true. Cool. This is a good chat, guys. I really appreciate it. I think we'll probably start wrapping up here. The next stream, like I mentioned before, we'll be doing Marvel United X-Men. So that one just arrived in my hands a couple days ago. So we'll be covering that on the channel because you know how much we love Marvel United. I can't wait to show you guys that one. I played a few times already, and I'm loving what they added to the game. It looks awesome. And in fact, I feel like as I'm playing through most of it, is the price point is gonna be, the value to price point is gonna be excellent in that version of it. But yeah, that'll be coming up, and then Wednesday we're gonna be playing Keep the Heroes Out. So I think Mike might be joining me on that one. I'm working on the details a little bit. But that one is a game currently on Kickstarter that I know Snow and I have been talking a lot. I know others have been on there too. It's a game where you're playing as the monsters inside the dungeon, and you're trying to stop the heroes from getting your loot. And it just looks it's cool, like meeples and everything. Looks cute. I can't wait. So I'm excited to play that one. So, oh my gosh, Kevin! If Imperium had a co-op mode, I would be all in that game. Deck building, Civ. Oh yes. That's the only thing holding me back from that game. Only thing. So, you can't look into it. Yeah, cool. Cool, guys. Thanks everyone for watching, and join us for the next week for the chat. And yeah, see you at the next stop. Bye bye.